Good afternoon. This is Yogesh, your trainer for AWS. I welcome you all in this second session on learning AWS. So in the first session, we saw about an introduction to AWS and what are the advantages of switching to AWS and all that. Today's session is going to be exclusively about EC2. So let me just share my screen and start the session. Okay. So this is going to be a very important part in deciding why I need to go for this cloud computing, because in the first session, we have decided to switch to cloud, and that too using Amazon Web Services, that is AWS. You have a competitor also, right? You have Microsoft Azure, but why majority of the clients switch to AWS is because of the wide range of services what AWS offers for us. So today's agenda is this. So what is this AWS EC2? And then to understand this entire concept of EC2, we need to understand what is an instance, what is the difference between service and instance, and then we will see some of the very important features of AWS, and then why AWS EC2. Then what are the types of instances that are available with the AWS, right? And apart from these types of instances, we have something called as AMI. What is that AMI? What is this, EBS? And what is the security feature available in this EC2? And finally, comes to pricing. I am going to show you in the AWS EC2 website itself how calculated, the pricing is calculated and all that. Okay, right. Let us start with this outline. So first thing is AWS EC2. We call it as Elastic Compute Cloud. The name itself is there. Elastic means you can resize it. Okay, so it is a computing service in the cloud, EC2. Okay, so you call it since it happens in the cloud, you call it as a web service, and it is provided by Amazon. So EC2 is a web service from Amazon that provides resizable compute services in the cloud. Okay, now what is the first reason? If you ask me, I have a separate slide for that, but let me just tell you, you can see you have decided to switch to cloud. Okay, fine. Now, how much is the investment you have to go upfront? Okay, investment in the sense for the hardware, for the storage, and then the resources, the team, all that, right? So all that can be eliminated. Okay, so because you don't require to invest in hardware upfront. I want to develop some applications, I want to load it, I want to use it for my organization, or I want to develop it and sell it to some other organization. All that EC2 can help you. Okay, now you just think this EC2 as a virtual server. See, in our organizations, we have servers. The same way, you can think of virtual servers. Okay, so where you can manage the networking part, the storage part, the memory part, all that. Okay, so according to my requirements, I can either scale up or scale down depending upon my requirement. So that is what is EC2 is about. Okay, now how they are resizable. They can quickly scale up or down the number of server instances according to my requirements. Okay. So now then the next question arises in minds. Okay, this person is saying something about instance. What is that instance? Let us see what is that instance. Okay. So instance is a virtual server for running your applications on EC2. Okay. Like you can think like this. You have a very large computer. From that, you have tiny computers. Okay. And these tiny computers has got their own memory, the storage, the operating system, the networking, all that is available. Like that, so many tiny parts of a large computer. You think like that. Okay. But all this is virtual. You have to know that, right? Okay. Now, I said a tiny computer, right? Like this, you can have many tiny computers in one single physical machine, maybe your laptop or your desktop. Okay. And all these tiny machines, what you have, right, is called as instances. That is the idea of instance. Just take it as it's a small computer which is available virtually, right? Okay. Now, what is the difference between service and instance? This is also a very important part. Okay. I said in my first part of the webinar that, AWS provides various services. Okay. So, this EC2 is also a service. Okay. There are a lot of services, and EC2 is also a service. When we use EC2 or any other service, we use it through an instance. Okay. Some of the names I have mentioned here, you have something called as T2. Okay. So this T2 is used. So I have a service. The service is going to happen through the instance. So that is the difference between service and instance, right? Great. Okay, now let us see the features of EC2. Okay, first feature is you are going to create a virtual computing environment called as instances. That is the main feature. Okay, second thing, when I want to develop applications, right, when I want to create something using this services, I have some pre-configured templates. That is what is called as AMI, Amazon Machine Images, right? So it includes the operating system, the additional software or the tools that are required, everything. So pre-configured templates are available. This is the second advantage or second very important feature of EC2. Now, when I say tiny computer, I can have many tiny computers for my applications, right? Then comes configurations. There are various configurations available. Okay, so various configuration of CPU, memory, storage, networking for your instances. So that's what I said in the outline also. There are different types of instances in EC2, right? So now, apart from this, anybody who wishes to take their application or run their application in the cloud, they always would like to think about the security, right? What is the security feature this EC2 can provide me? Yes, it has got the security feature. Okay, so you have the secure login information using key pairs. What is that key pairs is? You have a public key, you have a private key, right? It is stored in the cloud in a secure place, so that is there. And similarly, storage, that is also very important feature of EC2. You can store volumes and volumes, right? when you work with your application, when you process your application, sometimes you deal with volumes of data. After processing, after getting the insights from the data or from the raw data, you have to delete that. Okay, so where you will keep all this deleted data. Okay, so or a temporary conversion of your data. So the data transformation happens after the data is picked from different sources. Okay, in the cloud itself, from different sources, from different web sources, the data is captured, the data is transformed, means cleansed using some tools, and then I try to bring out the insights of the data with my application. Okay, so I can store the temporary data, the temporarily deleted data. Okay, all that. So that is what is called as instance store volumes. Okay, so that is one very important feature of Amazon. So I have just explained you 5 features. 5 more important features are there in EC2. Okay, so what is that? One more important feature is you have elastic block store, EBS volumes. Okay, so you can use this EBS volumes for your data storage. Okay, now when I say that I am now delivering this session from India, I am a developer. I would like to develop some applications. I want to use EC2. So for this particular zone, for this particular region, you have the instances, you have the storage volumes, all that available according to the locations. So in Poland, you have some pricing. The pricing happens like that only, right? So in European Union countries, some of the countries, you get for a very cheaper price. So in India, it comes for some pricing. In China, it comes for some pricing. At the end of the session, I can show you, the price, how it is calculated. I can just show you. Right. So like that, multiple physical locations for your resources. Okay, so that is one wonderful feature. Same way, when you work with your desktop or your laptops or your servers, you always want to have some firewalls set. You want to have some IP addresses set specifically. All that is available in EC2. We call it as elastic IP address. Okay, so that is there. And apart from this, the things that you create that are logically isolated from the rest of the AWS cloud. Okay, means you can have your own private cloud. We call it as virtual private cloud. So all that kind of pricing is available with EC2. Right. Now, this is the reason why I should go for EC2. I'll tell you, see this. Now, I want to work independently. Okay. I want to, work independently means first thing is I need to have servers. Okay. Initially, I'll have some estimation. Okay. This is what is going to be the maximum capacity that will be required for my task, for my applications, maybe for this 1 year or for the next 2 years, something like that. Okay, so with that calculations, with that expectations, I have to invest on that hardware part. Okay, hardware part also invested. Do you think that you will not have any trouble at all with the hardware part, the networking part and all that? Yes, you will face troubles. You have to troubleshoot. Okay, this is one thing. So all this is going to be done not by you yourself. You have to hire someone for these tasks. Now, why to do all these things, right? If you just buy an EC2 instance, you need not worry about all these things. Why? The reason is everything is going to be managed by Amazon. You just focus on your application. What is your application? How you are developing it? What are the tools you are using to develop it, right? So after implementation, what is happening to your application across the organization or outside the organization? That kind of focus you can have on your application without any problems. Anything and everything relating to the hardware part, the maintenance part, the networking part, all that is going to be taken care by Amazon, right? So if you just type Amazon EC2, it will take you to AWS Amazon.aws.ec2. There, all these things you can see in detail. Okay, in detail, you can see all these things, right? Right. Okay. Now, apart from this, costing, how many servers do I have? How many terabytes of hard disk or other storage I have bought? All that just fraction of a cost you are going to spend for these EC2 instances. That is why I should switch to EC2. Okay, now how this EC2 works? Okay, so you launch the instances, you connect it, then you start using it. That's all, very simple. All that happens in minutes before you think. You just think you have bought a server. You just think how much time it is going to take for you to install the operating system, install the services, install all required tools and all that, and then configure based on the specifications and all that. Here it is not like that. It sometimes I have seen it hardly takes a single minute to add that. Okay, now this is how you can understand easily how cost saving happens if you are using EC2. Okay, right. First thing is I have servers. I have bought servers. For these servers, I need to hire an IT team. Okay, who can handle them. Now, apart from this, anything can happen anytime to the hardware part. It cannot be avoided at all. So I need to bear that cost of getting it fixed. And the uptime, okay, the uptime is also important. If you do not want to compromise on that uptime, you have to keep your systems redundant, right? Which might become more expensive month after month, week after week, or maybe once in every 6 months, all that. Okay, now apart from this, I have invested a lot. And then what about the depreciation? Okay, see, I bought this laptop 1 year before. Okay, I think it's 11th generation, i5 11th generation or 12th generation, whatever it is. So that time, what is the cost? Now, the same 1 year old system, if I calculate the depreciation, I will be able to get only 50% of the cost that I have spent, that has incurred for purchasing this. The same thing is applicable for all the hardware, isn't it? So after 3 years, right? This is for higher end systems, 3 years, it is 50%. Take it from me. It's not even 50% if the system is 3 years old. People are very clever now. They know that 24/7, these server machines were running throughout the year for 3 years. So what will have happened to the, processor, has it not become weak? It is all electronic components. So like that, when you calculate the depreciation, it comes less than 50%. And so all these are valid reasons why you can cut down the cost, you can save a lot, and instead just move to the cloud. Okay, so if suppose you feel that your business is booming like anything, there is a lot of traffic, immediately you can scale up. So that is how you can save cost wise also. Right. Now that is the idea of EC2, and that is the difference between instance and a service, and why I should go for EC2 comparing the traditional way of servers, storage, and all that. Now the most important part. I said that instances, tiny computers. I have so many tiny computers. I want to use some of the tiny computers for my application, and all that means there are different types. Okay, so in general, you have 5 different types of instances. General instance, the name itself suggests general instance for general purpose. Compute instances, where I do a lot of scientific calculations, this, that, my application involves a lot of memory, a lot of processing. Memory instances, storage instances, GPU instances. Let me show you in one screen, individually what is the purpose of these 5 types of instances, so that you get more idea about it. Okay, so general purpose instances. It has got a balance of your computing power, your memory, your networking resources. So you can use this for applications as application servers, gaming servers, backend servers, small database, medium database, all that. Okay. So you just have an application which requires computing, memory, networking. Okay, all at a base level or something like that. Then you can consider it running on a general purpose instance. Okay, because the application itself does not require optimization in any single resource area. Okay, so that is the idea of general purpose instances. Compute optimized instances. Okay, see, I require high performance processors. I have a website which is functional 24/7. People will be, there'll be a lot of visitors in the website, and maybe some activities every time happens. So you require a web server which is having high performance. So we call it as high performance web servers, compute intense application servers, dedicated gaming servers, one specific gaming application you have created, and for that you require some dedicated gaming servers and all that. Okay, you can also use for batch processing workloads. So this I have seen in a manufacturing unit of Hyundai Motors. So for this batch processing workloads, they are using this compute optimized instance. All these examples also I can show you in the upcoming slides. What is that instance name? That is also you need to know, right? Okay, memory optimized instances. Okay, now I have a voluminous data. Okay, what do I do with this voluminous data? I process the data. I try to get insights from the data. So I need to load the data into storage area. Okay, so memory is required. So where I can hold the data instructions, okay, which needs to get completed. Okay, So this happens from the storage into the memory, like how we have, the physical storage, the temporary memory. Okay, so all that kind of things. Okay, so what happens, the speed at which it processes the data, you will not have that feel at all. Okay, so direct access the CPU gets. Okay, so where there is a large amount of data that has to be preloaded before running the application, you can think about memory optimized instance. Okay, so where there is a high need of memory plus performance, you can think about this memory optimized instances. Okay, then you have accelerated computing instances. See, now in our systems, we have some co-processors, hardware accelerators. Maybe, people go for the graphics card, 4 GB, 8 GB, 32 GB graphics card for playing high-end games, inbuilt graphics card, something like that, right? So all that is called as accelerated computing instances. Okay, so graphics applications, game streaming applications, streaming, all that uses accelerated computing instances. Okay, then comes storage optimized instances. You have to take it like this. Okay, I need to read, write, access data, okay, on a local storage. So we call it as OLTP systems, online transaction processing systems, right? So that kind of systems, how it is, the computing happens is it is input output operations per second. This is how the measurement, the metric is kept for the storage device. Okay, so this IOPS can compute, how many different input operation, output operation can be performed by this device in 1 second. Okay, so tens and thousands of low latency random IOPS to the application. So all this happens, right? Okay, so now think about a system, a banking application or something like that, where you just fill an application form online. So it gets converted as a record and it is entering a database storage. Okay, then you get the output generated by the server. So I have given some input, it is stored, maybe sometimes it is processed, and I get the output also. Okay, so that kind of storage optimized instances. Okay. Now, when I say storage optimized instances, you need to know about this also, burstable performance instances. So what is this? See, I said a lot of instances, right? Like you take an example of T2. T2 is one instance, okay? A mini computer or a tiny computer, something like that, virtually, which is there. You just think about that, okay? So when this is employed, it performs with the 20% of its full capacity. See, now, if I am loading an application here, see, for example, I am running PowerPoint application here. It is not going to, take the CPU, capacity to the full. Maybe 10%, 20% of the processing capacity of the CPU is what is going to be taken. The same way, these burstable instances also, you can, when you are running the application on the cloud, when it requires more speed, more power, automatically, no, this CPU, this instance, it enters into the burst mode, giving higher performance. So the work happens faster, right? So when this happens is when your CPU is idle, it gives, CPU credit, gives a burst of 1 minute to the CPU. If it is not used, it is again credited back to your account and it stays there for nearly 24 hours. You can decide whether the T2 instance should be scaled up or down, means the performance from 20% to 40% or 50%, all that. Okay. But all this happens at a cost. Okay. Right. So these are, C4, M4, D2, all these are the names of instances. Okay. For the storage. Okay. So you have this elastic block storage. It's a storage option by AWS. How it works? The same way how I told you, right? IOPS, input output processes per second. How many input operations, how many output operations has happened per second? Okay, so it's a performance measurement used to characterize the computer storage devices. All these concepts has become popular only after the cloud computing came into existence, right? Okay, the same way, there is something called as cluster networking instances. Okay, so the instances launched in a common placement group are put into a logical group. Okay, so what happens? High bandwidth is created. Low latency, delay, okay, that is there, between all the instances in the group. So it is actually a logical cluster, right? Where some select EC2 instances, part of the group, can utilize up to 10 gigabytes, 10 Gbps for single flow and 20 Gbps for multi-flow traffic in each direction. So that is the power of these cluster networking instances. Okay, so, right, you have something called as dedicated instances. Okay, for a single customer in a single tenant hardware, when the instance are used to run, okay, then it becomes dedicated instances. So now I have some company policies, I have some corporate policy, I have some industry regulation. All that means I should be isolating my application from other instances, any other customers instance. So I go with my own separate machine, and the instances are isolated at the hardware level. So that is what is called as dedicated instance. Right. Now let us take an example. I have told you that the CPU, that is the processing, is going to happen virtually. For that, memory, storage, networking, operating system, tools, everything is provided, right? Now let us understand this with one simple example of customer data. How do I analyze my customer data? First thing, customers' website activity should be monitored in real time. Okay. Now see this, all of a sudden, the sale happens in some of the e-commerce sites, maybe Flipkart or Amazon, whatever it is. Few years before, at a certain point, what will happen is, due to heavy traffic, okay, heavy data traffic, sometimes it becomes, stagnant. It becomes, inactive also. Few years before, not now. Now things have got changed. Even in the Indian railway ticketing system, this has happened a few times. Maybe you all are aware about this, right? So if the ticketing process gets stopped even for 1 hour, so many crores, okay, of transaction happens in 1 hour in the railways. So that way, if you see now, you do not have all those problems. Have you ever heard in the last 4 years any web server crashed or any physical server crashed? Nothing like that, because now everything is cloud based, right? It is all taken to the cloud. Okay, so my customers are doing some activity with my company website. It has to be monitored in real time. Okay, now when they are doing it, there may be traffic. Okay, minimum. So when there will be a minimum traffic, I'll tell you. When uh, you have a processor, the customer is searching something or typing something to get some information about your products and services, it brings out immediately, okay, in a flash of a second, something like that. Then they look at that data. Maybe if they're interested, they place an order or they come out of that website. So the traffic becomes a minimum. Okay. But it is not the same case every time. You just see Indian festival sale these days to these days. Now, what about other time? Do you require that much of network traffic or web traffic? All that not required. Okay, so in such cases, if I come to a conclusion, then I might take T2 instances. Okay, what is the advantages? They give burstable CPU performance. So when there is more traffic, what will happen? The CPU performance will be increased accordingly to meet my requirements, right? So T2 instances. So customer data, I am just analyzing what I can go with, what EC2 instance I can go with, because I have a feel that the same kind of traffic is not going to be there every time. What I decide is I have decided to go with T2 instances. Why? The reason is because they can give burstable CPU performance whenever I experience more traffic, web traffic. Okay, second system, auto response emailing system. So many banking sites are, other commercial sites also. You will see that, the response time. Okay, so it has to be simple, quick as possible. It has to happen. Okay, so you can use the optimized instances as they can give high number of input, number of output processes per second. So low latencies, low delays will be there. So my emailing system auto response, I can use this for the customers or for my, employees of the organization. Third one, my search engine. I have some hundreds of products. Now imagine Amazon itself, lakhs of products. You just think about Amazon.com. How many lakhs of products you have got? You just take one specific category. See, for example, I go to a category called men's. In men's category, I have hundreds of categories. So again, I select any one of them. Maybe I am selecting blazer. Okay, so in the blazer, again, there is a lot of brands, lot of classifications, lot of rating, price high to low, price low to high, based on the average ratings, based on the best ratings of the users. Like this, so many keeps on going. All this when I start typing this on the search engine on my company's website. Okay, I will be trying it out with different keywords. See, you all know that many times this is the problem. For the same thing which I want to search, what is the keyword that I use to search? See, for example, AWS courses. AWS courses in India, AWS courses, top institutes for AWS courses in Bangalore, in Chennai, something like that. When I type the right keyword, I get the right results. Okay, so I need to return the relevant results. That also is very important. See, this is where many times, many browsers you had uninstalled from your system, right? You would have seen the difference. If I am searching in a Google search engine, the results, what it is showing, and in other, web browsers, search engines, the results, if you have ever tried to compare these results, you would have seen that a lot of difference will be there. So the Google search engine, what it shows in the first page, second page, third page, all that is going to be latest, up to date, what you were thinking in your mind, all that kind of things. If you go for other, Microsoft or other web browsers in the search engine. So what we do here for our company website is you might have, two servers for this. One is the database, and the other is for the processing the keywords. Okay, so communication between these two servers must happen at the maximum possible speed. Okay, so to make this happen, what do? We put it in a cluster networking instance. This is what I explained a few slides before, right? So see this, one more thing is there. Some processes in every organization are highly confidential. In that case, what I will do, I will go for dedicated instances for these kinds of processes. So now I think you would have got a clear idea of what kind of instances I must go with my customers' data, right? When I want to analyze or analysis of my customers' data, for the normal activities, I will go with T2 instances. And then for the emailing system or for the auto response emailing system, I'll go with the EBS optimized instances, which uses IOPS concept, where the low latency rate is there. And for the search engine of my website, I may think about cluster networking instances, because one server is going to hold the database and another server is going to process the keywords from this server. Okay, and finally, when I would like to go for some policies, some very important, highly confidential information and all that, I will go for dedicated instances, right? Okay, now just like that, I cannot pick an instance, load my application, use it and all that. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to log into my AWS account, and I need to click on AWS EC2. Now, if you have not created your AWS account, I can tell you the steps how to create this AWS account. Okay, so once you create the AWS account, you will be able to see the menu, and under the menu, you will see instance. There you will click on launch instance. When I say launch instance, immediately it will show you, okay, to select a pre-template. Okay, so that's what I said, Amazon machine image. Okay, but before going there, now if you want to create a AWS account as a beginner, if you want to create, you can go for a free account also. But one thing you have to keep in mind, it will ask for your credit or debit card information. It is not going to take any money from you, but that is mandatory. Without that, your registration process will not be complete. There is no other option at all. And once you share that information, maybe $1 amount may be deducted from your credit card account, and this is just for a verification that you are the person, okay, who has tried to create an account, a free account in AWS. Okay, so that is only one thing. And now $1 is nothing, boss, right? So it is safe and secure, you need not worry. But without that, you cannot go for registering yourself. And once the process is completed, you get 1 full year of the services. You can try the services, right? Okay, so once you have registered, you will be able to see the instance. Once you click on that, you have to select the AMI. Okay, so it could be any kind of a server. Okay, so what these AMIs are, it is pre-configured, or you can configure it according to your requirements. Okay, for pre-configured, you have AWS Marketplace. From there, you have to pick it. For setting up of your own, you have to select one and you have to configure that. Okay, so once the first process has happened, that is under instances, I'm clicking on that. I am going to the AMI. Either I choose the pre-configured or I go and set up one. Then the next step is the storage option. See, compute, memory, storage, networking, all that, right? So apart from this, security, that is also there. So all that has to be done. But don't worry, all this can happen in just minutes. Okay, so you have to go for that. Now, the storage part, after AMI, the storage part, you think the storage part as your hard drive. Okay, because always your computer needs a hard drive, right? You call it in different names. Hard drive is a hard drive, is a physical storage, right? Like that, here you consider this EBS as your hard drive. Okay, now in that you have some options, right? See, I said number of inputs, number of outputs, processing per second, IOPS rates and all that. That also has got some rates, right? So you have got provisioned IOPS, okay? So where the rate, IOPS rate is very high. You have general purpose EPS, which needs a performance as well as a balancing of the cost. Then magnetic EBS, okay? So I do not use it often, or the retrieval time can be more, all that. In such cases, I'll go for magnetic, but normally people go with the general purpose. Okay, right. After selecting a suitable option in EBS, we give the instance name. Okay, so instance, AMI, and then the storage part, I choose provisioned or general purpose or magnetic. Once that is done, the next step is security. Okay, so each instance, each tiny computers, what we are talking about, each instance can be assigned up to 5 security groups. Just imagine. Okay, so finally, the last step is all the settings are done, means you can just verify all the settings and you launch it. That's all. Okay, so you need to know about the security part, instance part. Okay, then the AMI, the pre-configured template, and then the storage part, EBS, and then the security part. Okay, so security part in AWS, it has got a key pair method. Okay, so why it is required is like all applications, how we have encrypt, decrypt, whatever passwords you have, that is the login information that you have, it has to be encrypted, decrypted, all that. Okay, so EC2 uses public key cryptography. to encrypt and decrypt login information. Okay, so it can be password, and it can be a private key also. So public key, private key together, it is called as key pair. So AWS EC2 employs key pair method for security. Okay, like I have two keys for my car. In general, I'll be using one key, and another key I'll be keeping it in the safe, right? So maybe if sometimes required, I have forgotten or I have missed it somewhere, then I'll take it the other key from the safe and I will use it. The same way you can use here also the key pair method for your login information and all that. Okay, now what is the additional benefit I am going to see? Every service, there are a lot of services like this, right? Every service from Amazon is designed keeping the customer in mind. Okay, so I need not say more about this because let us understand some other benefits. Okay, so I have shown you up to this what is EC2, why EC2, what is instance, what is service, what are the types of instances, and what is the purpose of these instances. All that we have seen, and then how to take up this instance. Okay, right. Now in this, it employs one technique called as auto scaling. Okay, it is a service actually. Okay, so it can automatically launch or terminate the EC2's instances based on the user defined policies, schedules, health checks. There are many reasons, right? So that is auto scaling. Now you have something called as load balancing, elastic load balancing. See, from the first slide, I am telling you this is elastic cloud computing, right? Cloud services. So elastic load balancing, it automatically distributes incoming application traffic across multiple instances. Okay, and that too in multiple availability zones. Okay, so what is this availability zone? Is it's a place where Amazon has set up their servers. Okay, since Amazon has got customers throughout the globe, throughout the world, they have set it up like that, right? So what happens? The speed at which it functions and all that, it is going to be good. Okay, now I said that IP addresses, you call it as elastic IP addresses. Okay, so it is associated with your AWS account. So it can be used to mask the failure of an instance by automatically remapping your address to another working instance in your account. So all this, don't put it in your mind virtually thinking how it happens and all. It happens, okay, automatically. So that is load balancing, elastic load balancing. Now comes to pricing. So I said that if you would like to register for a free tier account, you get 750 hours of the T2 instance, micro instance usage per month. 750 hours. How many hours you can spend for this in a day, in a week? Just imagine, right? Even 10 hours if you spend in a day, the usage. In a week, it's going to be 70 hours. In a month, less than 300 hours. Okay, so this is a wonderful option, right? So this free tier account of EC2, it is valid for 1 year from sign up of your AWS account. Now, apart from this, see, this is now I am in the learning stage. I would like to learn all these things. Then when I join an organization, or maybe for my own organization, I would like to implement these. I would like to create applications and all that. If you have in your mind, then you can think about the 3 basic three pricing options in EC2. Okay, spot instances, on-demand instances, reserved instances. Okay, so each one has got its own purpose. What is spot, what is on-demand, and what is reserved. That is the last part of today's session. Okay, so whatever is available here, okay, the instance that uses spare EC2 capacity. Sometimes you call it as on-demand price also. Okay, so I have taken up a lot of instances. Some are unused instances, so I am keeping it like that. Okay, then you can discount it, you can lower your cost, all that. And you have something called as spot price also. The hourly price for a spot instance is called as spot price. And this will vary according to the zone. Okay, so whatever availability zone is there, whichever zone it is available, accordingly the price is going to be changing. Okay, so the spot instance runs whenever capacity is available. So this is one type of pricing. You can see here, I've just taken the screenshot of that. See this general purpose current generation for Windows and Linux usage, medium size of that instance. See this $0.0049 per hour. A large size, extra large, 2 times large, 4 times large, like that. You can see it is all in 0.0 something like that. Okay, right. Now on-demand instances, I can treat this like I am hiring a car for 4 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. There is no long-term commitment. Okay, no upfront payment also. I use it for 1 hour, I pay for that. Okay, you can see that. So A1 medium, hourly rate, on-demand hourly rate is this. Okay, so you get one CPU, you get this is the memory, this is the storage, and performance is up to 10 gigabyte. All this is up to 10 gigabyte. You can see large, extra large, 2 times large on that. So you can decide here. See, like how I said, you have taken a car on, hired a car. You can, you have rented a car. You can decide when to use it, when to stop it, when to return it. The same way here also, you can have full control over the life cycle. You decide when to launch, when to stop, reboot, and all that. The last one is the reserved instances. Okay, so reserved instances, it is just comparable to this on-demand instances with some discounts depending upon the region, depending upon the usage, for some specific period of time, all that. So here also no upfront, or you can go for partial upfront, or you can go for full upfront. And there are 2 term lengths available, 1-year term, 3-year term, like fixed deposits, how we have, right? So in fixed deposit, what happens if you go for 1-year term, the rate of interest is little, right, is minimum. If you go for 3 years or 5 years deposit, it increases like this. Here you can have reserved instances. So here I have put it 1 point. See, the higher the upfront payment is, more you save money. Okay, so again I am telling you, it is all dependent on your regions, okay, where you are taking up these instances. So these are the reserved instances. This diagram shows how you do this process. See this T2 instance I purchase, okay, then maybe the same T2 instance I get for a discounted rate. Okay, then I go for a C4 instance. Okay, so T2 instant I got it at a discounted rate, and then again another one, then I launch it this is how it goes, right? So reserved instance, this is RI reserved instance. I can launch with this, I can launch with this, all these things, right? So now let me just go and open and show you this also. See this, I just type AWS Web Services. Okay. So this is where it is going to take you. Now, if this is the first time you are using this, you can go to this AWS free tier account. You just click create a free account. Okay. So once you click this, it will ask you this, verify your email address. All these things will happen. Then it will ask you for the payment process and all that. Once you have done with that, you will see the process is completed. After that, you will be able to see here in the my account settings, all your billing process, all that, and you'll be able to see this AWS management console also. Okay, so for that you need to log into your account. Okay, now this time I will directly put EC2. Okay, see this. In amazon.com/EC2. Once you have created all that, the same thing, right? See this, you can see about the pricing calculator, all that is there. So all this, you can just have a look at it, how it works, pay as you go, all this, see this. Okay, so for all these things, the first step is you have to create your account, because this is the second session of the series of webinars. I thought, okay, let me show you this also, so that what will happen is you will be able to create this, and later on you can see all those details also. What I have shown here, all that you will be able to see, right? So how the pricing is set, and how do you launch the instance, and how do you see the AMI, and then the EBS storage, and then the security part, the key pair, all that step by step, you can just practice after creating your free account. Or if you're interested, you can go to the pricing part, you can take it from there also. But what I normally recommend to people who have just started their career with this AWS, you can always go for the free account. Okay, so that is all I have got for you all in this series of AWS webinars. I hope this EC2 will surely have given you an idea of what it is all about. Thank you very much. I'm just waiting for if any questions are.
Okay, I think one question I updated in the chat section.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There is a question that has come. What is the limit of EC2 instance? See, it depends upon the region. Okay. Now, if you ask me the limit, it can be even up to 20 instances per region. Okay. And this includes all the instances to set up your AWS account. You can increase that limits also. Okay, you can request for a higher limit. but you have to provide some information for that. But this limit is maximum limit is 20 instances per region. Okay, I can see one more question in the chat window. What is security group in EC2? Okay. See, security group is basically, you have to think it as a virtual firewall. Okay. Virtual firewall for your incoming, outgoing traffic. Okay. So that is a security group in EC2. It is a virtual firewall for your EC2 instances. What it is used for? It is used for controlling the incoming and outgoing traffic. Any other questions? Okay, there is one more question. How to create security group in Amazon EC2? Once you have created the AWS account, you have to click on the AWS console. Okay, so once you click on the console, you will find a separate option called as security group. So it will be there in the console. You just click there. Okay, and then you have a create button there. You click the create button, then you give the details. So that is how easily you can create a EC2 security group. But normally in companies, it is created by the IT team. Okay, I think there are no more questions. Thank you all. See you in the next session in the series of webinars for AWS. Thank you.